Hey all, welcome back. Welcome to tonight's segment. I hope you're all having a great day. As you can see, we're doing something a little different tonight. We're going to have a little Star Wars fun. Now, many of you know that I am, well, a geek. I love Star Wars. Well, let me check that. Loved Star Wars. George Lucas, growing up, was the man, my hero. And even in the last 15, 20 years, I still looked up to the man. The original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, the animated series Clone Wars, loved him. Lucasfilm was able to keep me interested all the way through Rebels. We got word that Episode 7 was coming. It was like a new day. The excitement, the prognostication of what could Episode 7 bring. And it came. And many of us old school Star Wars fans were like, okay, we understand. It's more or less like a soft reboot. We understand. We get it. We can appreciate it. Then we got word that Rogue One was coming out. They were going to do a real war movie. They're going to make a Star Wars war movie. And you know what? It did not disappoint. Rogue One was fantastic. I enjoyed it. Then, of course, the excitement began to build for Last Jedi. We're going to see, wow, is Luke going to train Rey? How is that going to go? But then Rian Johnson literally put a lightsaber through our hearts. And that changed everything. The expanded universe, the legends, all of that material thrown out the door. The new expanded universe was divisive, filled with, well, modern day politics, earthly politics. It broke our hearts. Best way to put it. They started injecting personal agendas, political agendas into all their material. Promoting lifestyles that, well, the majority of the fans don't agree with. Claiming that many of us who didn't like or agree with what they were pushing called us racists, misogynists, phobes. But then when they put out the promotional materials for their movies, they would have their one poster with John Boyega here for the United States. But yet when they released it in China, he wasn't on the poster, or he was made so small you would have to search the poster to look for him. Sounds pretty racist to me. So, for the most part, the last 10 years, us fans have been trying to tell Lucasfilm and Disney that this isn't how, well, as Han Solo says in Episode 7, That's not how the Force works. That's not what George envisioned. We knew what he envisioned. We could see it. The expansive storytelling, the character building, the world building, the various intricacies of the Force, and what it means to be a Jedi, what it means to be a Sith. So since Disney has had the Star Wars IP, it has been a constant battle for us old school fans. Rebels was pretty good. Some of the Bad Batch animated series has been solid. The Andor series was fantastic. I think, unfortunately, because Disney Lucasfilm has laid so many bad eggs with the sequel trilogy and I guess you would say, the Star Wars stories, the novels, the comics, that the timing was just off for Andor. And I will say that Andor was probably one of the best written Star Wars series, well, to date. Now, what does it have to do with The Acolyte? Well, since The Acolyte has come out, which was released last night, they released the first 2 episodes. Many of us old school Star Wars fans have been nervous. Not only because of all the bad material that's been released and was expected to be hits by Disney. And since it was not, us fans were labeled as it was our fault because we didn't like it. We didn't like the poor storytelling. We didn't like the poor character development. We didn't like the poor world building. We just didn't like it. Because it was, well, to be honest with you, it was garbage. So we were really concerned about The Acolyte when it came out. What's it going to do? So many of us, we started following these other channels. Let's get these reviews. What is it going to do? What should we expect? Should I go in expecting that this is going to be the best Star Wars ever? Is it going to be the Star Wars for a new generation? Or is it going to be another bad egg? Is it going to be woke? Is it going to push an agenda or sexuality or a lifestyle that maybe I might not agree with or the majority of this country does not agree with? What are they going to give us? Well, then we find out who's the writer, who's the director. Leslie Headland. Who is she? The former personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein. Yes, that Harvey Weinstein. The one who's in jail right now for doing all the nasty crap to, well, basically actors, actresses, and all that good stuff to try and get into movies. He's in jail now for doing that R word and stuff. So yeah, that is who the writer and director is. His personal assistant. So right there, another red flag. Another red flag, she's a feminist. You can have your political beliefs. Have your political beliefs. Because I know mine are far different than from the creators, George Lucas. But today's Star Wars is not George Lucas's Star Wars. Lucas was able to do it subtly. He didn't call out a specific party, a specific culture, a specific sex. He didn't do it. For him, it was simple. Good versus evil. Light versus dark. Right versus wrong. A hero's journey. Strong character development. Strong world building. And the expansive lore that he just allowed everyone to just expand on. His writers for the Legends, all the Legends books. Far different than today's Star Wars. Far different than The Acolyte. But there are a lot of YouTube talking heads out there, reviewers, movie channels, that are just simply destroying this show. There are even YouTube channels out there that haven't even watched the show yet and are basing their reviews off of people who have reviewed the show. Mind you, they have not watched an episode because they don't feel they have to because someone else reviewed it and they're going to base their opinion off of that review. That's not a review. Now, there are a lot of people out there that are people that I follow, people that I watch daily, that have said that the first 2 episodes were passable, they're decent, and they have, their problems. And it'll keep us old school Star Wars fans interested until we get to episodes 3 and 4. And it'll completely change how we view Star Wars. It'll kill it. That the episodes 3 and 4 will be the death knell in Star Wars for the rest of us old school fans. I don't know. You know why? Because I have not seen episodes 3 and 4 yet. I can only base my opinion on episodes 1 and 2. Now, 1 and 2. Honestly, I only can gripe about just a few small things. They're really petty. They really are petty. The writing is good. The acting is all right. Some of the sets are a little questionable. You can tell that the $186 million budget wasn't properly utilized, I guess you would say. But when it comes to we have to look at it. It's supposed to be geared towards another generation, not us old timers. As much as we want to enjoy Star Wars because it's Star Wars, it belongs to us. That's how we feel. Star Wars is ours. Star Wars is George Lucas. Star Wars is Luke swinging across a chasm with Leia on his side, running from stormtroopers. I am your father. That's our Star Wars. You have failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi like my father before me. That is our Star Wars. This is where the fun begins. You're either with me or you're my enemy. That's our Star Wars. Because, we've been in this fight since we were 8 years old? This is the thing. This new Star Wars is not meant for us. We have a choice. We could either take it for what it is, grab our popcorn, grab our snacks, and just try to escape. And hope that the director or writer's politics has not been so fully injected into what we're watching that it's a huge turnoff. And that's been Disney's biggest problem with their series. All their live action series, terrible, except for, I would say, Andor and the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. Everything else has been garbage. Trying to just rely on member berries just to keep people hooked up, keep us hooked in. No. So that's what really made me curious. Going into The Acolyte, I went in expecting nothing. Absolutely nothing. And what did I get out of it? Episode 1. They introduce us to the main character, Osha, and her twin. It's not a spoiler. You end up finding out about it right away in the series anyway. So her twin sister, Osha and May. And one of the big things in this is they were separated at, one was taken as a Jedi. The other one was left behind. One gets angry and, of course, wants to seek revenge. So, of course, she's going off and trying to kill Jedi. And it's just what it is. It's it's a murder mystery that's not so much a murder mystery because you pretty much know what's going on right off the bat. But I think the biggest story outline of this whole thing is really not the two of them. It's about who's behind the curtain. Who's the bad guy? Is it really a Sith? Or is it just some dark side user? Is it Plagueis? Is it Tenebrous? Is it any of the Sith Lords prior to Palpatine that are pulling the strings, setting this up? We're not going to know until we get later into the season. Even after episode 1, people started coming out that this is the gayest Star Wars ever because of some interviews that Hedlund had given and some of the cast members with a magazine. Well, it just so happens that the magazine, well, it's geared towards people of the LGBTQ community. They're trying to market to them too. And I will agree with them on one thing. They made a joke. You're going to tell me you thought 3PO was straight? I'm sorry. Even as a kid, I thought gay. But anyway, that's not important because it's a press tour. They're doing what they can. They're trying to get traction. They're trying to get people to turn it on just to watch an episode or two. And this is what's another thing. I'm not trying to defend Disney Plus. I'm not trying to defend Lucasfilm. It's entertainment. There's a lot of people out there that are hating on it just for the simple fact that it's going to get them clicks. Get you clicks, get you ad revenue, you make your money. Hating on Star Wars is a moneymaker. I'm not here to do that. I may have personal biases with certain episodes or certain trilogies, but when this stuff comes out, just give it a chance. If you like it, cool. If you don't watch it. Not trying to defend it. Just enjoy what you enjoy. And another thing. One of the spoilers that are coming out for... Okay, hold on. I bypassed episode 2. Episode 2. The antagonist, May, goes in and she's getting ready to fight her former master. And get into a fight, and they find out, of course, that her sister is alive, who she assumed was dead. And when I get into that episode, it was okay. It was an okay episode. I'm gonna check out episode 3. I will check out the next one, but there is one gripe I have about it. A Jedi was told the deepest commitment. And I never thought I'd see this, but yes, there was a fat Jedi. There is a fat Jedi in episode 2. And it is the one thing that most of these talking heads and most critics have not pointed out yet. I'm not trying to fat shame, but Jedis are supposed to be in tip-top shape. Their body is, like I said, it's almost like it's another Jedi temple. But yes, there is an incredibly unhealthy Jedi in episode 2. And the only other gripe I have is the occasional dialogue was not the best. But it's just, the story point is there. They're doing a much better job of character building. The world building looks pretty good. Music is all right. But it's not perfect. But you would think with $186 million for an 8-episode series, they'd be a lot better. But don't get me wrong, I'm going to check out episode 3. But I would solidly give these first 2 episodes, I would probably give it a solid, I would just say a C, maybe a C plus. Maybe a C plus. That'd be about it. The Rotten Tomatoes scores, no way. No way, especially the critic one. You're gonna put that in the high 80s? No. Those are definitely shills, and they're bought and paid for. But then when you look at the fan Rotten Tomato scores, I think they have it at like a 47%. I think a lot of that is a lot of the old school Star Wars fans that just finally realized that it's not our Star Wars anymore. It doesn't belong to us anymore. It belongs to a different generation. They have a different outlook. Even if they decide that the Force is female, well, you know what? It is. Even under George Lucas, the Force is female. It truly is. I don't know if you remember this, but Season 7 of The Clone Wars, there was a small arc that Yoda had gone on. It was called the Destiny Arc, where he traveled with R2 into a small nebula in the center of the galaxy, where he met these 5 priestesses. There, as you can see, even in the image, that the Force, when presents itself to a physical being, it is presenting itself into the feminine. So even if you want to dig deep and go into all this other stuff to say that the Force is not female, and you want to get on Kathleen Kennedy about how the Force is female or whatever, or the Force is gay, just, it's a TV show. It's just not our Star Wars anymore. It's not. Now, even with this, I'm going to play a little clip for you from this episode. And I want you even to listen to their voices. It flat out says, or it doesn't flat out say, just that the cadence, the tone is clearly feminine. And it is how the Force manifested itself into the Wills to present themselves to Yoda. The Force is female. A lot of you out there might not like it, but it is true. And if you want to get into even the philosophical realm here, into religion, there's been philosophy stating that God is a female. If that's the case, then that's the case. Doesn't matter. No. It's just that Disney's putting out material that a lot of us old folks don't like. Injecting their politics, their culture war issues, their activism. But that's what entertainment has become. And if it needs to be changed, then it's up to those that are out there writing and directing movies to change it. Ben Shapiro, Daily Wire, look what they're doing. They're doing what they can. Of course, the quality is not the same as your big budget Hollywood stuff, but they're still doing something. So, I mean, we can still sit back here and complain about it all. And we can either watch it or don't watch it. Let your kids watch it or don't. The first 2 episodes were not bad. They were not that woke. Just like George did in the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. He injected his own politics into it, but he did it subtly. Even in these first 2 episodes, yes, they made some comments, but it wasn't outright, cringeworthy. It wasn't virtue signaling. I want you to understand something. Even in episode 2, episode 1, I apologize. When Osha and May were represented as children, and May, begins reciting their little bonding poem, like, I am you, you are me. It was something along those lines, and we are one together. Something similar to that in episode 1. At the end of this clip that I'm going to play, you will see that this coven of witches, or wills, or the Force, they pretty much say the same thing. So whoever wrote this, Leslie Hudlin, I don't know why I can't say her name. Maybe it bothers me so much because I know who she is. But she did her homework. She brought in a lot of old lore into just these couple episodes. And on top of that, you think about that. These are the wills. These are the wills. The manifestation of the Force. We make fun of they're trying to say that in episode 2 that May and Osha were the daughters of their mothers, the two mothers. Well, their mothers are part of a coven. We've heard of the Night Sisters. You had the Night Sisters who controlled a planet. How were Darth Maul and Savage created? Yes, they were living, but they imbued them with Night Sister magic to make them even more powerful. The same could be for May and Osha. We don't know yet. We can't criticize and say that it's lesbians in space if we really don't know the whole context of how these two were born. So a lot of the hate that I'm seeing, I think, is just for the sake of hating on it. Give it a chance. It's really not that bad. It's not Andor good, but it's pretty good. But definitely, check them out. If you guys got the app, open up Disney Plus, check out the first 2 episodes, and you'll see. It's really not that bad. So, on that, I'll let you guys go. I'm done ranting. And may the Force be with you. Always.